Hi all, welcome back. I'm going to share with you today one of my homemade chocolate recipes. I have tweaked it over the months, weeks recently actually, due to the current diet that I'm on, which is a low to moderate oxalate diet. But this particular recipe is a low oxalate recipe for anyone that's interested in that side of it. This is particularly for vegans, though obviously anybody can have it. There's no restriction there. If you do want to make it, say, vegetarian, you can tweak the coconut powder for milk powder. That would be absolutely fine. But this is a white chocolate recipe. So for those that are interested, I'm just going to share with you the ingredients that I'm going to use for this particular recipe. It's very, very simple, straightforward, and yeah, I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do. It's so tasty, I mean, these things that you don't really need a lot, but as I say, you can do them from home. And the beauty of this particular one, I store this one in the freeze, so it will last months and months. Well, unless of course you eat it quicker. Right, so the two main bulk ingredients that we're going to use. Now, with all chocolate lovers out there, they'll know that chocolate is made from cacao butter. Now, unfortunately, recently cacao butter has gone way up in price and is very, very expensive to buy now. It really has shot up in price. So this is why I'm combining it with coconut oil, because it's a slightly cheaper option. You can make this purely with the coconut oil. Now, it's your choice, obviously, what you want to do. I like to still use a little bit of this. I do like the texture of it, so I'm actually going to half the ingredients. So normally in an ordinary chocolate recipe, I would just be using this. But because I'm trying to reduce using too much of this, I'm going to half it with using that as well. So just to explain, so the cacao butter, the actual ingredients for this particular recipe, you would have 170 grams, 6 ounces of the cacao butter. But because I'm going to half that, I'm going to do 3 ounces and 3 ounces of the coconut oil, okay, which is equivalent to, I have to do my maths now, 85 grams. So 85 grams of the cacao butter and 85 grams of the coconut oil. So those are two of the ingredients that you're going to need to make up the bulk of it. Now, the reason I store it in the freeze is because I'm using this one, and obviously it's a bit runnier. If you were purely using cacao butter, then you would want to store it in the fridge to keep the chocolate fresh. Right, so the other ingredients we're using are coconut milk powder. Now this one is particularly gluten-free. That's obviously what I'm doing at the moment. You can opt for other options. There are other ones which aren't gluten-free if you're not too bothered about that. But it's this one you would replace for ordinary milk powder. You could also use goat's milk powder if you prefer that. So that's just a tweak you can make, which will obviously take away from vegan to vegetarian. Right, the other ingredients, before I move on, you need 120 grams, which is about 4.2 ounces of the coconut milk powder. We're going to want a pinch of salt. As you know, most chocolate probably has a little bit added to it. The other thing we're going to do, because we want just a plain flavoured chocolate, vanilla chocolate, so we're going to use a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And the other thing we're going to use is honey. Now that will give us our main sweetness in this chocolate. And we're going to need 2 tablespoons of honey. And again, if you need to change the ingredients slightly, just alter them. Now the beauty of this type of chocolate, like with any homemade chocolate, you can add things that you like to it. If you wanted to add a bit of chili, you wanted to add, obviously coming away from a low oxalate diet, you could add nuts, but in this particular one we can't because we want to keep it low oxalate. But you could use something like chopped cherries, put some cherries in. You could use some cranberries in this one to keep it low oxalate. some raisins, things like that. So there are ways to modify if you want to add things to chocolate, but as I say, for this purpose, we're just going to keep it very simple. So that's all the ingredients that you need. I'm just going to take you through the process of what we do next. So bear with me. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop this on a very low heat. So we're going to slowly melt. Okay, let me just turn it down a bit. Okay, so as you can see, I've popped the coconut oil and the actual cacao butter, 3 ounces of each, into a saucepan. I'm just going to slowly melt this. Now, if you have just the cacao butter on its own, then you'll need a double boiler. Reason being is obviously because you don't want to overheat it, putting it on a low heat, because it won't turn out properly, and also because the cacao butter actually solidifies very, very quickly, and you've got a short time to actually get the chocolate made and put in the moulds. So this is what I do. So doing it this way, by incorporating the coconut oil, you can just put it in a saucepan. That's absolutely fine. The coconut oil will melt quicker and it will give a base and make it thinner, and just make it a thinner consistency, and just give you that little bit extra time to actually get it in the moulds without it setting too quickly. Now with the moulds, I've actually got a couple of chocolate moulds with various chocolate shapes in it, but you can use just an ordinary plastic container or something if you just want to have just flat chocolate. I'll show you both, because we'll probably have enough to cover the 2 moulds that I have and a little bit more, and I'll just show you some of the results, but you can play around with it. The raw cacao that I used to make, I would literally just make a large sort of square slab and then cut it up after, and that's absolutely fine. So yeah, you don't have to have specific chocolate moulds. It's just if you want to have nice decorative chocolates, you can do it that way. That's absolutely fine. So you can see the coconut oil is melting a lot quicker. Again, we don't want to boil this. We don't want to heat it up too much. We're literally just going to go for a warm temperature, just enough for the cocoa butter to melt. Okay, so it might just take a few minutes, but we'll keep it on a low setting. So I will come back to this shortly, and then once we've finished doing this, we're going to pop it into a food processor with the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so just before we add the melted coconut butter and oil, I'll just briefly show you. So we're going to use a food processor, and the ingredients I've pre-put in here purely because once the coconut oil melts, we want to get it in here as quickly as possible and pulse it so that we can get it to a thin consistency. So the ingredients I've put in here, just to remind you, are 2 tablespoons of honey, a pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and the 120 grams of coconut milk powder, or if you prefer milk powder as a substitute. So okay, so we'll just grab the oil and we'll pop them all in together. Here we go, here's the melted oil, and as I say, it's just warmed, it's not boiling, you don't want to heat it up too high. So we'll just take this off and pour this one straight into the food processor. So I'm just going to process this just for a couple of minutes, just to blend it all together, and then it should be ready to pour into the moulds. Okay, so what I've done is I've just used a small pouring jug once I blended the mixture, and it was just easier then to pour into these chocolate moulds. It's not going to be perfect, but just pour them in as best you can. I've put them on a plate because I'm going to put these in the fridge now just to harden. And I also had some left over, and just to show you how you can use anything really, this is just a plastic container I had, and this will make a nice slab of chocolate, so I'm going to use that as well. So we're going to store this in the fridge. We'll give it probably about 30 minutes or so. Just, I mean, Might be a bit more, a bit less than that, but give it about 30 minutes just for it to harden, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so I've just left them in for about 30 minutes and I've just taken them out, and they seem like they've gone solid now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these out and pop them into a small plastic container for storage so that we can pop them in the freeze. With this one, I'm just going to cut it up into pieces, or you can just break it up into pieces. So I will come back to you very shortly. So I've just checked some of the smaller chocolates and they still needed a bit longer, so I'm going to give it another say 30 minutes and we'll come back to them again. Okay, so yeah, it seems you need a little bit longer sometimes, so 30 to 60 minutes roughly in the fridge. I mean, you can also just put them directly into the freezer, and obviously, probably about half the time, and then pull them out. But if you're breaking anything up, it's just easier. I did use silicone moulds for the main chocolates, so obviously it's easier to get them out. Now, as you can see, these are the chocolates that came out of the mould. They look rather nice. They're nicer when you've got proper shaped chocolates, but I mean, it all tastes the same at the end of the day. And this is just one I took out of the plastic container and then just broke it up. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this recipe. It's really easy to make once you get it right, and it's not too difficult. As I say, it's only like I mentioned earlier, if you're using purely the cocoa butter, then you'll need a double boiler. It does set very, very quickly. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, I will see you soon.